I just want to ask you, obviously you've just come back from that experience with Scotland. Can I just ask you about that and what you've kind of learned from that experience bringing back into the squad?
Yeah, it was a really good week for me. I enjoyed my time there. I learnt a lot within such a short space of time. But so I'm hoping to take some of that into this weekend.
And you talked about sort of the kind of surreal, being with players that you've kind of looked up to. How was it to be able to play with them and learn from them?
Yeah, it was really nice, and I think they were all really welcoming to me and all the other new girls there. So it was a good opportunity to kind of see how they operated and the different levels that they're at, to then be able to train and play with them was really nice.
Even in the Scotland squad, we've seen you be very adaptable with your position, and we've seen that for Celtic as well. How do you feel about being played in those different positions, and how do you where do you think your game fits most naturally on the park?
I'm just happy to play wherever I'm asked to play. I'm one of these people that, as long as I'm on the pitch, I'm not bothered. So I think all the different positions I've played, I can offer different things. So I've not really got a favourite necessarily, but as long as I'm doing my bit to help the team, I'm happy.
Just to ask about the game, obviously on Sunday, Hibs are on a really good run of form. What have you spoken about in training? Obviously, you've just rejoined the squad, but what are you expecting from the Hibs on Sunday? Yeah,
I think they're a really good team. They're well organised. They've got really good individuals. So I think it's our job to try and nullify them, but also where we can exploit their weaknesses and look at our strengths, because we've got some great players within our squad. So focus is on us, but we know we need to be aware of them.
Elena, can I just ask you about Emma being in the Scotland squad and how proud that made you feel?
Don't want to say too much now. No, I'm joking. Obviously, I think I remember looking at Emma when she was at Partick Thistle, and I remember when I tried to recruit her that late day, the last day of I said to her, like, the most important attribute that I can see in her is the fearless she has when she plays. Like, she's so fearless and she always tries her best, and you can see it in her action when she was in Partick as well. Like, she always tried to do her very, very best, and that was the reason why I was really eager to get her into Celtic. And obviously, like, since she's come to Celtic, she's been keep doing what she's good at, and she's just keep being the humble, the player that she wants to be, when it comes to, like, always being humble enough to learn new things. She always gives her best. So her being in the Scotland national team now is a bit too late, because I think she should have been there before. But I'm very, very happy and obviously very proud of what, like, her achievement has been, because she deserves it. And I've said it to her many times now, so hopefully it's not too many times I can say it, but she deserves all the success because she works hard for it.
Obviously, you've had a bit more time to train with the rest of the squad. We've also seen players and yourself go off and have a bit of a break, spend time with family and go away. How important is it for you to allow the players to kind of have that time off from football as well before coming back to focus on what's in front of them?
Obviously, it's a good thing, because they need to recover from the busy schedule that we've had. But the most important, the message has been, like, okay, you have some days off, but these days off is because you need to come back and be even better, even sharper. And, like, the trainings has been really, really good. So I think that's something that we've been looking at, to give them some days off, especially when it's international break. But now, like, we've been back and we've been having really good sessions. So all about now performing really good on Sunday.
What have you been focusing on in the sessions that you've been able to have between now and Sunday?
Well, it's been just focus on our principles and do what we need to do to perform the best football we can. But obviously today we had a more tactical training when it comes to how to be aware of their threats and strengths and what they want to apply in the game. And then obviously we've been focusing on how to exploit and how to play our game to make sure that we perform well to win the game.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you next. What are the biggest threats that you expect from Hibs, and what are the strengths in the Celtic side that can hopefully do something to neutralise those?
Well, I think if you look at Hibs, I think obviously Grant, respect him as a coach because I think he has done really well with the team. I think Hibs' strength is the team. Like, they're very organised and they're very, like, how do you say, like, they all have their roles and they do it well. And if you look at how they've been playing, I don't think that they have changed too much. They just keep going with the same thing, and they defend really well and they go with transitions. And then obviously they've been very successful with the set plays if you looked at the Glasgow City game, for example. So they have some strengths, but we also know how to exploit them. So really looking forward for Sunday.
Can I just ask, we were a bit worried about Morgan Cross after she came off in the Glasgow City game. We've seen photos of her in training. Can I just ask for an update on how she's doing after that?
She's been doing really well. She's been training full for 2 trainings now, so she's back on track.
She's fit and firing.
She's ready to go.
Right. What about the rest of the squad? Are there any players that we might not see due to...
It's still Chloe Craigie and Claire Goldie.
But otherwise...
Everybody is full, which is also a great thing because it's going to be hard to pick up the start 11, but also the squad.
Yeah,
there
it makes
needs
it
to
hard
be...
for you to pick that starting 11 tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Might we see some time for some of the newer players? Emma Westin, she was kind of...
So Emma Westin has been not injured, but kind of injured. And how it looks right now, she will be available for Sunday. Momo, she is adapting and getting ready to, like, she looks more and more sharp in training, and she is also playable on Sunday. And then we have Abby, who's been, she got something in her hip the other day, but she looks good now, so everybody should be playable on
Great.
Sunday.
Thank you. Good luck
Thank you.
Sunday.
Thank you.
Yeah, so obviously on your break you were in Lisbon. How was it seeing the kind of famous stadium?
It actually felt like I was home. Like, when I entered, it was so many Celtic fans there, so I was just surprised that there were so many there. But obviously I just felt almost like I had like goosebumps because I could just, like, it was, I don't know, it was very powerful to know that Celtic has done something very successful there.
So to give you a bit of motivation to kind of match that?
I was actually saying to Kelly, I think, when we played Glasgow City, we had 6 players from Scotland in the start 11, and many of them are young, just like this player over here. So we had like Emma, we had Morgan, we had Shannon, we had Amy G, we had Maz, Nat, and Kelly. Is that 7? That's 7. And I think for me, like, when I was looking at, you know, that picture, and I know that there was a lot of players from the Glasgow region, it would be amazing to do something like it, obviously, with here, because I'm very keen to make sure that we have the best Scottish players in our team, to make sure that we're still, like, making sure that we invest and develop the talented players that Scotland has.
Yes, obviously to get to that level though, you've probably got to win the league again. You've got a big game against Hibs this weekend. You haven't lost in the league since September. How do you change that and make them have their first loss, basically?
I think that's why I'm saying that we need to respect Hibs, because they've been having a great run and they've been doing things very, very well. But that doesn't change that we need to be confident in ourselves and what we can do, because even if, like, for me, it's still like very disappointed and very frustrated that we're not involved in the cups anymore. But that's something that we need to turn into a big motivation to focus on what we can control, and that is only the league now. But I'm very confident that we have a great squad that can compete and dominate against Hibs as well, because we've been showing in moments in games, especially like Glasgow City and Rangers, that we are a great team. We just need to control things a little bit better to make sure that we get the full performance and results with us.
Yeah, so obviously you had a bit more time with the players, I guess, more breaks and stuff like that. Do you think your players are getting more used to that kind of system? You spoke about the kind of 3-2-4-1, 4-2-3-1. Do you feel like you're kind of getting the idea across and the players are understanding it more and more?
Yeah, I don't think that. I think, like we've said today, like it doesn't matter really what shape we play. It's the same principles, but I think right now why the play is getting better is because we work more on the details that we haven't had the time to do before. So I don't think the shape is something that they think too much about. It's still the same principles. It's just different positioning. So for me, it's just more about that we need to improve the things that we haven't done so well, but still doing the things that we've been doing really well, if not better. And I think that is the only thing that we need to focus on right now, is how to improve our game.
Thanks. Yeah, Emma, just on that then, without so much focus on that positional play, as it were, is that something that you think you thrive under, given your desire to get forward?
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, I think obviously we have our formation that we play, but there is flexibility within it, and I think we'll now have that understanding of if somebody goes somewhere, there's cover there. So I think I enjoy it from a personal point of view, and yeah, it's just it's about making sure that if you do an action, that there's somebody covering that.
Yeah, obviously Elena was there speaking about kind of you coming from Thistle last year and how you played there. So then, how much have you learned about yourself this year, given the level of opposition you played this year? Chelsea, Madrid's, Netherlands. How much have you learned about yourself as a footballer?
As a footballer, I think I've just loved the challenge of playing against like some of the best players in the world, and I think I've hopefully gave a good account of myself in those situations, and I think it only makes you better when you play against those top level players, and I think that's the level we want to be at every season. So to play there and see what it is and know the gap we need to try and jump, I think it's good. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed learning the different players that I've played against.
Yeah, so seeing those players, does that kind of help give an idea about what your future ambitions are as a player?
Yeah, I think obviously you want to be playing at the highest level you can. So I'm enjoying my time here, and yeah, I think if we can get into that Champions League again this year, that would be really special.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask you about Mick McCardle. Obviously, he took charge of those 2 games. You've known him for the 23s. Scotland are looking for a permanent position for that. Mick might get it, might not, but no one really knows yet. So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about that, if Mick was to get it full time, or.
Yeah, I think he did well in the camp just there. I think I've known, like you say, Mick from the 23s, so he's a really good coach, a really good guy, and I think, if he gets a job, it would be great. But if they've got other plans in, that's up to them. But I think he did well in that camp there, so it's we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so also ask you about your past experiences in the split with Thistle. Obviously, how is that different this year with the expectation at Celtic?
Yeah, I think last year when I was with Thistle, it was very challenging for us because we were obviously that 6th position and we were playing against full-time opposition, so it was very much a learning experience, whereas this time we're competing for the title, so every game is a game that we need to try and win, and I'm looking forward to the ups and downs that it will bring.
Yeah, and then just on this weekend, Hibs' attacking force is pretty potent, and they've got players like Ailey Adams, your now Scotland teammate, and players like Tegan Barry as well, who are really kind of high pressing and always kind of in your face running around. How do you guys think as a defence you're going to have to cope with that in terms of wanting to play the ball up from the back and then also defending that? Yeah,
I think I've played with Tegan and Ailey and Kathleen McGovern at the 23, so they're really good players, and it's something we're going to need to be aware of, but we've got players within our squad that can manage that, and we can play against that, so I think we're confident in what we've got in our squad.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much.
Just in terms of handling the pressure, where there are 4 teams all vying for the title and all on similar points, will it be a question of who copes with that kind of intensity and pressure the best, who prevails and comes out on top?
I think obviously the most important thing is obviously us focusing on each game. I know it's a boring answer, but it is what we can control. And I think if we step in front of that focus and start thinking about the next game or the league or whatever, I think then we lose the focus on what matters. And I think that's something that we need to make sure that we do, is focusing on, like for example today was focus on the training, and then obviously tomorrow it's focus on the training, and then on Sunday is about focusing on the task that we need to do to win the game. And then whatever happens after, it's something that we cannot think about because we cannot control it. And psychologically, that is what the players need to think, is they need to do the task the best possible way, because that will make us take one step closer to winning the game. And our focus is winning each game and every game that we have in front of us, which also then in the long term is winning the league.
What do you expect from Hibs on Sunday?
Like I said before, a compact team that is going to do everything they can to make sure that they keep winning, which they have done. They're, like I said, a compact team. They have players that does their roles really, really well. Obviously, I think they're going to defend compact against us and try to go into transitions and obviously take the set plays as good as possible. And then for us, it's just focus on ourselves, what we are good at, and also to exploit their weaknesses, but also to be aware of their threats and do it as good as possible. And it's simple as that when it comes to practical, but then obviously we need to do it really well on the game on Sunday.
When you look around your dressing room and the players who you have and the players who had the experience of winning the title last season, do you think that you've got a group of players capable of going and retaining that this term?
I believe strongly in the players I have today, yes.
Hello. I wanted to ask, the regular season is coming to a close, so a year on pretty much from the last one. Elena, how do you assess the kind of progress you've made in that time with the squad?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, I think the main thing that we focused on in the last recruitment is trying to get depth in the squad, because we knew that we're going to have more games than last season. And that's exactly what we did. I think when it comes to looking at performances, I think our highest performance has been really high, and then obviously I think our lowest has been too low. But I think we're managing to put the lowest higher and higher up, so we don't dip as much as we've been doing sometimes during the games. And I think you can see that in the last performance against Glasgow City, we were better during the whole game and not having just a good first half or a good less good second half. And I think that's something that I've seen as an improvement, is that we need to be as good as possible during 90 minutes. And that's something that I've seen the players taking on very, very well, and they've been doing better. So that is something that I'm looking at right now, is how can we maintain our highest and make that highest even higher, but then the lowest performance needs to be much higher than it has been during some of the games that we've had. But if you look at the quality, I mean, we have a big young squad, I would say. We have many players that are starting that are very young, but that is also the investment and in the long term that we need to look at. Our strategy is to make sure that we have the best Scottish players in the team, and make sure that we sign a long-term contract with them and develop them so they can, be the best they can be here in Celtic. And obviously, for Emma Lawton, for example, I think I'm not saying anything wrong by saying that probably she's very attractive outside from Scotland, and she's going to be even more because she's that kind of player. And that's something that we want. We want to make sure that we have these kind of players, develop them, make sure that they progress, and then obviously if they want to take the next step abroad, then we've been doing our job to help the players to do it. And that's what I mean, for the next season, then obviously we need to look at that a little bit further ahead. But I'm very happy with the players that we've recruited for this window, and they've been doing well.
And I wanted to talk about last time out when you played Hibs. You had a fair share of the possession in the league. Is that something you want to aim for this time around, even though you're playing away from home? You want to control the majority of possession despite being the away team? That's something that's important to you?
It's a style of play that we have. We're really good with the ball, and that's how we can hurt the teams. if you look at how we played against Glasgow City or Rangers or Hearts or whoever we play against, we are good at breaking lines. We are good at playing through lines. We're good at creating chances. What I've been saying before is that the amount of chances we create, we should score more goals. And that is just a fact, and that shows in the data as well. But that's something that we're continuing to work on. And I think, obviously, the great goals we scored against Glasgow last game is a proof that, we're improving. And the things that we need to be better at is stop conceding goals that we're causing by ourselves. There's not many teams that are breaking us. It's more that the teams that we're playing against is hurting us due to our mistakes. So we need to be better at that as well.
And from the sound of it, you're a manager who believes a lot in principles, who's very attached to the style of play that you adhere to. Do you take any kind of displeasure from winning ugly, or you don't mind as long as you get the 3 points?
It's all about winning the game. And we've been talking about game management. We've been talking about situations like when we need to be aggressive, when we need to be smart. And for us, it's just about, obviously, we are very good at what we're doing and the style of play because we create a lot and we've not been conceding too many of the goals. When the goals we've been conceding is because of our mistakes. So if we just improve that and make sure that we're better at defending set plays or however we've been conceding goals, then obviously we have the best situation. We concede less goals and score more goals, which also leads to winning more games. And I think the belief is strong in the team that when we play good, we play really good, and it's hard for teams to defend that. But I also think that we defend really well, so it's okay for the opponents to have the ball as long as we defend really well, because when we win the ball back, we're really good at transition. So we can win games differently, but obviously us having possession is something that is a strength because we're good at it. So, but we're not bad at defending either. So if we need to defend, we defend, and I think the players are comfortable to do that as well.
Emma, I wanted to ask, you arrived kind of later in the kind of transfer window. Do you feel that your place in the club, that your role as a kind of teammate has changed? Have you been able to it's odd to say, but be more yourself despite kind of jumping into a group that's quite settled?
Yeah, I think probably when I first came in I was maybe a wee bit quiet and apprehensive, but yeah, I've certainly settled in now, and yeah, I feel really part of the team, and yeah, I think it helps that the coaches and the girls were so welcoming when I came in to me and Morgan, that we just kind of fitted in straight away, and it allowed us to go and be ourselves both on and off the pitch.
And there's a mention of kind of bringing in players. For yourself, is that something you welcome, the competition for places? It's not something you're afraid of?
No, I think it's like playing against the best players. You need to be playing with the best players to get better yourself, and that added competition of knowing that you need to train at your best at all times, yeah, it helps you develop. So yeah, I think healthy competitions are good, and yeah, it's important for us to have that to help us get better.